Welcome to Sugar Pills, a practical guide to self-care, where your host, writer, actor and producer Candy Washington helps you live a more joyful life with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. Be sure to subscribe, leave a 5-star review and join the conversation on Instagram at Candy Washington. Let's go!
Everyone, and welcome back. As always, I am your girl, Candy Washington, and we are going to have a fun kiki recapping the latest episode, the finale episode of The Real Housewives of Dubai. Dubai, girl, Dubai. So before we dive into dissecting everything and a couple of my conspiracy theories and thoughts about the ladies, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, and share this with a friend because a kiki is always better with community. That is right. That is right. So let's dive in. All right. So the season 1 is now complete. Hey, Darren. That's right, you guys. As you come in, say hello and drop your candy canes. Let me know where you're listening from. Let me know any questions or comments you have. And drop your candy canes because let's get into it, guys. All right. Let's get into it. So it's the last episode of the season. Season 1 has wrapped. I do believe that we're going to get a season 2, which is great because I think we should. But I think that if they come back for a season 2, they need to clean some stuff up. Like, the storylines aren't making sense. The timelines aren't matching. And there's just a lot of stuff they need to clean up. There was a lot of things that were kind of exposed this episode that I want to get into. The first is it was too much on the goat. Like, I didn't need Miss Goat to be the 7th, 8th housewife in the whole goat situation. Like, I felt like that was just too much. So, rest in peace, Miss Goat. Got it. Next up is, let's talk about my conspiracy theory on why I think Lesa is really mad with Nina, like what her real issue is. And I said this before on one of the lives and one of the recaps on it, was that there had to be something more that Lesa was upset about with Nina. Like, it couldn't just be the fact that she was all of a sudden friends with Carolyns Stanberry. Like, there's something has to be deeper. And I think what is deeper is, and I think this is going to come out on the reunion, is that Lesa was supposed to be in an alliance with, that Nina was supposed to be in an alliance with Lesa and with Chanel and with Brooks and with Sarah and all that stuff against Carolyns Stanberry. So then when Nina came on the show and sort of switched alliances, I think that really pissed Lesa off. Because I don't think Lesa is the type of woman who cares who people are friends with. I think what she cares about is the fact that they had an alliance to like be together on the show, to be a team. And then we quickly saw that alliance dwindle to only being Lesa and Ayan. I think behind the scenes, before the show even started, they already had their alliances. Nina was talking smack about Carolyns Stanberry. They probably all were talking smack about Carolyns Stanberry. And then when Nina jumped ship, Lesa got upset. I don't think it's anything to do with actual friendship. I think it's you jump shipped on what our alliance was going into the show, if that makes sense. I also think that Lesa was being really hypocritical when she was talking to Carolyn at the end, and she was like, oh, you were going around calling the ladies, asking everybody, what I did and what my husband did and who we were. But to be fair, and trust me, I am not by any means like standing for Carolyns Stanberry. I think she is problematic. I think a lot is going to come out with her stuff too. But objectively, Lesa, you already admitted that you were doing the same thing with Nina, that you and the girls were talking about Stanberry, talking like, oh, she's a 50-year-old influencer, Sergio's broke and all of that stuff. So it's like, all of the girls are guilty of that. You know what I mean? All of the girls are guilty of going to each other, asking who does what, how they get their money, where their money comes from, what is going on. Like, all of the girls did that. So I felt like Lesa was really reaching with her beef against Caroline Stansberry. Lesa, just be honest. You're still mad at Caroline because she skipped your fashion show and because she said, who's gonna suck? Are you going to be the one to suck Sergio's D? That's why you're mad at Caroline, Lesa. Like the rest of the beef, it's a reach. It's a complete stretch. I think that the women had an alliance going into the show. And then once the show started, the alliance switched. And I think that's why Lesa's actually pissed. I think that's what her real beef is. Okay, let's get into Brooke's timeline. So again, Brooks, the math isn't mathing. None of it is making sense. You said that you left your marriage with nothing, that you and your son were homeless, and you had to start over with nothing from being homeless with your son. Now, I want to tread very lightly here because that is a very sensitive, a very sad, a very gut-wrenching story. However, if we're going to look at this objectively, your story doesn't make sense. One, every time we've seen your ex-husband interact with your child on the show and with you, it is very evident and it is very clear that he has always been in his son's life and that he's a very present person in his life. And he doesn't come across as a dad who would let you and the son be homeless. Like, it just doesn't track, Brooks. Like, that storyline just doesn't make any sense. What also doesn't make sense is the fake timeline. So Brooks has already said that she was going into business with her ex-husband, right? Way before the show started. Because when the show started, she was like, oh, this is salon I'm doing. My ex-husband is an investor. He's doing all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. My ex is this, my ex is that. But then on the show, like episode 9 or 10, like deep into the show, then you have this coffee with your ex-husband where you say this is the first time he's ever apologized to you. This is the first time he ever took accountability. That doesn't make sense, Brooke. And then she's like, now I can finally stand to be around him. That doesn't make sense. You went into business with him prior to the show ever starting, allegedly. He's clearly been in the son's life. Clearly, you and your son are taken care of. But then you want us to believe that the first time you ever had a sit-down conversation with him where you guys had a heart-to-heart was on camera getting coffee, episode 8 or 9 on the show? That doesn't make any sense. Hey, beautiful sunshine. Hey, kitty girl. Yay, I caught a live. Yes, come through. Yay, hello, my beautiful candy canes. Like, that doesn't make sense, Brooks. Like, stop playing in our face. The timeline just doesn't make sense. And a lot of what Brooks has said, and we've covered it before, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't track. Like, I'm not going to say she's lying because what she is claiming is so deep. Like, I don't want to say that. But I'm just going to say, logically speaking, hypothetically, if someone told me exactly what Brooks is claiming, I would not believe them. If you get what I'm saying. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you're talking with your ex-husband about PTA meetings, about the school, the private school, this, that, and the third. Clearly, the son and the father have had a long-term relationship together. You were already going in business with him before you had the coffee date. Like, the timelines just don't make sense. And I just don't believe Brooks' story. And it's a shame because I think that she could have just came out and said, yeah, I had a really bad divorce. We got separated and that's it. Like, I didn't need this sob story. I didn't need the added homelessness and the added stuff. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Exactly, Danielle G. She was 100% getting child support. 100%. I just don't believe she was out homeless on the street with her and her son. It just doesn't track. Not with that man being as wealthy as he is. Not with them living in Dubai, which has their own laws about all of that stuff. You know what I mean? It just doesn't track. And like the way they have now, it just doesn't track, Brooks. Daniel G says she didn't get a payout or spousal support. Right. So it just doesn't make sense to me that she as destitute as she was claiming to be. It just doesn't make sense. What makes sense to me is you were in a relationship with this man, you were in a marriage, you had a child together, the marriage didn't work out, he was still giving you support, probably primarily for the child. And you guys now have a good, working relationship. You clearly have a good co-parenting relationship. So you weren't a single parent. That's another thing. You're not a single parent and you weren't a single parent, Brooke. Real single parents are exactly that, single parents. They're not getting spousal support. They're not getting child support. They don't have a partner to go to PTA meetings with them. They're really 100% financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally the only caretaker for their child. That is what a true single parent is. Brooke, stop playing in our face. You and this man were fussing and fighting each other, which is clear because you're still on the show. Even in this episode, the two of you were still fussing and fighting with each other. You and this man were fussing and fighting. You got divorced. He still took care of the kid. And then you went off and did whatever. And I don't believe she got a payout, a cheating settlement from her ex-boyfriend. You know, she said she had the ex-boyfriend who gave her like this big payment for cheating on her. She was like, cheating on me is expensive. I don't believe that. You probably had something on him. I just don't, I think if a man is willing to disrespect you and cheat on you, I don't think that he's going to then pay you millions of dollars. It just doesn't make sense. I think you knew something and he gave you that money to keep you quiet. That's my opinion, because that to me makes more sense. It doesn't make sense to me that my ex-boyfriend cheats on me and he's going to give me millions of dollars because he cheated on me and we're not even married and we don't have children. That doesn't make logical sense. But if I knew something about him, maybe his businesses, maybe his partners, maybe his money, maybe something he's done or did, and he wants me to keep it on the low, then yeah, maybe he's going to give me some money to keep my mouth shut. That makes more sense to me than you cheat on me and then you're going to pay me millions of dollars. That doesn't make sense. Like nothing in Brooke's storyline or timeline or justification for her money makes any sense to me. It just, none of it makes any sense. It doesn't track. The timelines don't make sense. The storylines don't make sense. The relationships with her exes don't make sense. None of it makes any sense. I think the simplest answer is usually the true one. Brooks, I think you were in a marriage, you got divorced, and then you continue to co-parent with your husband with the child. You got with this really rich man. Sure, he cheated on you. You found something out and he gave you some money to keep your mouth shut. That to me is logical. That to me makes sense. The rest of this stuff is just playtime. Like, stop. Get over it. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat and then we can go on to some more theories. Hey, Sunshine. I don't care for books because of all the odd theatrics. Exactly. And like, I'm never going to call anybody an alcoholic or anything like that, but she did seem to present some issues with drinking. Like every single episode, she was just gone. Like eyes closed and all over the place. I mean, gone. Like it's one thing to have like some champers and a kiki, but like for every single time you're on screen, every single time you're out, you're just wasty face. Like I'm not diagnosing anybody, but it just might be something to look at. Hey, Danielle G, my thoughts exactly. Was it to the married African man who gave her the payout? Bam. Exactly, Daniel G. Exactly. And that's another thing about Brooks. It's like every episode, you want to boo-hoo about your tragedy and trauma, with being cheated on and with your ex-husband and all this stuff. But then you so very proudly and without shame talked about being a mistress with a married man, being like, I would have been the first lady of Kenya. Oh, but wait a minute, he already had a wife. Baby, like, how are you, like, brazenly talking about being a mistress? But yet you want our sympathy when you were cheated on and with your ex-husband dogging you out. Like, had no remorse, no shame, almost was proud of it, almost was like literally almost like proud of the fact that she was with a married man. I wouldn't be surprised if it was him because he was like some politician guy in Kenya or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm sure he probably gave her some money to shut up and go away and to keep quiet. Hey, April. She goes, hey, Candy Canes, you keep me going listening at work, though I haven't seen Real Housewives of Dubai. I love to hear your commentary. Ah, thank you, April. I appreciate that. Thank you, my beautiful Candy Cane. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. So yeah, Brooks, your math doesn't math. None of your storyline makes sense. I just don't get it. Okay, next up. Okay, Caroline Stanberry. Okay, I want to be very, very clear. I don't really, to be honest with this cast, I don't really rock with any of them. In the beginning, I did really like Lesa, but honestly, the more the show went on, the less I liked her. Just because I feel like there's some fake and phoniness and hypocrisy going on there. Caroline Stanberry, I felt like her whole storyline this entire season was just sad. It was just really sad and like weird. Like her going through the IVF for Sergio when she already had all these medical complications with her other children, like putting her body through that, and just him being so codependent and weird and bizarre. To be honest, I know Caroline Stanberry isn't the most likable person, but I just felt bad for her. Like I feel like she's not as happy as she fronts and pretends to be. I feel there's a sadness to Caroline Stanberry. Like feeling like you have to go through IVF because your 20-something-year-old, boy toy husband is pressuring you when you're 45, 46, 47, and you've already had miscarriages and the doctor already told you it's dangerous for you to have a child and you're doing all these things to your body. Like, that's just really sad to me. I think it sends the wrong message. You know what I'm saying? I think if you're a man or a woman and your spouse or your partner is forcing you to do things to your body that could be detrimental to your health and your life, that's not healthy to me. That's sad. To me, it's a sad storyline. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's a key. I think it's a dangerous thing to put out there. That if your spouse is forcing you to do something to your body, that it's okay in order to keep them. She's like, if I don't have the kids, Sergio's gone and all this stuff. That's a bad message, whether it's forcing you to have a child, whether it's forcing you to get plastic surgery, whether it's forcing you to lose weight, whether it's forcing you to gain weight, whether it's forcing you to do sexual acts you don't want to do. Anytime your partner is forcing you to do something to your body that you do not want to do, that is a problem. And I don't understand. And some people, and like, for example, the other ladies of the cast seem to just kind of clown her about it. But I think her and Sergio relationship is extremely dysfunctional. It's very toxic and it's extremely unhealthy in a lot of ways. He's so controlling. He's manipulative. He is always around her. Allegedly she's the breadwinner. When it comes to finances, people's situations are what they are, but it seems like Caroline Stanberry and Sergio, to me, there's so many red flags there. So many red flags. It just seems to be a very toxic, unhealthy, codependent relationship. Like, seriously, there's a lot wrong there. And the other woman kind of clown her. They're like, oh, your boy toy. Oh, it's weird, blah, 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 blah. But like in a real way, it's a very dysfunctional relationship. And like even at her engagement party, Julie, Caroline Stanberry's friend Julie, who's not on this show, she was on Ladies London with her. She was the one who was actually speaking the truth. She was like, well, Sergio, like, Caroline Stanberry almost died having her twins. Like, the doctor said that, like, it's really unhealthy. She could die trying to have children. Like, childbirth is no joke. Childbirth is no joke. And the fact that he is forcing her to do something to her body, I don't understand why the women on the show don't say something, or you know what I mean? Like, it's really dysfunctional and it's really weird. Like, imagine if he was like, you have to get breast implants, or you have to lose weight, or you have to get a BBL, or you know what I mean? Like, putting your life at risk, taking surgeries, taking hormones, doing this, that, and the third, because you're being pressured by your partner is abuse. That's abuse. Let's see what you guys are saying. Hey, sunshine, girl, you are so pretty. Okay, she goes, I like Chanel Iman. She's a lot in the best of the ways to me. It's a vibe. I like Chanel Iman, but, and let me know what you think. And we talked about this on the last one, but let me know what you think. I like Chanel Iman, but I do think that sometimes the drama, it's a little bit too much. Like, just dial it down a scotch with the theatrics. Like, just dial it down a scotch. Like, you already have a great personality. You're already beautiful. So, like, just be a scotch more you and less caricature-y, less playing this part. And I'm happy that she's going to hypnotherapy, and I'm happy that she's going to therapy, because I do think a lot of her crying all the time and lashing out is due to unresolved, her own unresolved childhood trauma. So my heart goes out to her. I'm happy that she shared her story, and I'm really happy that she's also sharing her healing journey, that she's sharing, you know, getting therapy and going to help and talking about her experience. So I get that. Like, I think a lot of Ayan and Stanberry's stuff is a lot of projection. But again, I'm not giving Stanberry a pass, but I can see how at certain times Ayan's reaction was based on her own stuff. And I think once she clears that up, she's going to be even more enjoyable, if that makes sense. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat box. Hey, Danielle. She goes, we're on the same page. Stanberry looks depressed. 100%. Almost menopausal and forcing yourself to do that to keep a young man. Yes. I don't think Stanberry happy. I don't think she's happy. I think she was embarrassed when Sergio came on the girls' trip. She was essentially begging him for some of her own time. She already said that she didn't even want to get remarried, but she basically did it for him. She was like, I didn't want to get married. And she did it for him. And honestly, like, you know, Brooks talked about it on this episode, the whole gold digger term. Gold diggers are not just women. Okay? Gold diggers are not just women. Men can be gold diggers as well. And like, I'm going to say it, in my opinion, allegedly, I think Sergio might be digging for some gold. Does Sergio want this child because he wants a child? Or does Sergio want this child so he can secure the bag? Like, people are saying, this is another thing. Allegedly, rumors are out there that maybe Caroline Stanberry is not as wealthy as we all think she is. Like, maybe her family ran out of money. You know, I don't know what the situation is. I don't know the certain laws in Dubai, but like, would she be getting spousal supports if she got remarried? Like, does spousal supports then stop? I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing she's getting child support from her ex-husband. You know, they still share children, and they're all minors. I don't know. But there was like, oh, is she as wealthy as she claims to be? But we all know Sergio doesn't have any money. I think Sergio, and I'm not saying that in a derogatory or disrespectful way at all. Like, I don't care how much money people have. I'm just saying when you're on the show and you're presenting stuff, you know what I mean? But he doesn't have any money. I think he was like a C-list soccer player that was a short-lived career, and I believe he came from humble means. So Sergio doesn't have any money. So is he pushing you have this child because he really wants this child, or is he pushing you have this child so that he can get child support down the line when he decides to live his actual truth? Because he said on the show, out of his own mouth, he's waiting for his Prince Charming. He said that out of his own mouth on the show. He's waiting for his Prince Charming. He said that. And they aired that, him saying that. And they're like, Prince Charming? And he said, well, I don't know. He's like, well, what's the term for the girl? And they're like, princess? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, yeah. Like, you told on yourself, Sergio. And that's not a shade or being disrespectful. I think that people should be who they are, love who they love. You know what I mean? We are inclusive over here with the candy cane community. We are inclusive, but we also call a thing, you know, and we can also objectively talk about sexuality and talk about identity. And when we talk about sexuality and we talk about identity, it's not disrespectful, it's not derogatory, it's not any of those things. It's just, let's have those open discussions and dialogues so that people can start to feel more, you know, comfortable in their own skin to be who they are. Because again, I think that Sergio and Carolyn Stansberry relationship is very dysfunctional. It's very unhealthy. He seems more to me to want to be her, not so much that he's in love with her, but he actually wants to live the life she has. He wants to actually like be her, if that makes sense. Like, I think he wants to be the influencer. He wants to have the wealth. You know, he even dyed his hair blonde like hers. He said he was waiting for his Prince Charming. He was crying on Instagram when she like went away for like a weekend or something and they were apart. Like, it's really psycho stuff. And if we switch the genders, if it was Caroline doing this to Sergio, we would be like, oh, she's psycho, she's a stage 5 clinger, oh, she's a stalker, all this stuff. Well, if we label women that when they do it, then what does it mean when a man does it? It's not funny, it's not endearing, it's not any of those things. It's toxic, it's unhealthy. And she does look depressed, and she does not look happy. She really doesn't. She looks like she's like kind of in shock and like hanging on. And to me, her storyline is really sad. It's a really sad storyline. Like, I don't think she's happy. I think she got forced to do the IVF to her body. I think she got forced to get married to him. And it's just really sad. Other things going on with Caroline, like they did the clip with the reunion. If it comes out that she was in Jeffrey Epstein's notebook, that's a whole nother situation. Like, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there, but it was just crazy. Hey, Shapey. She goes, Stanberry is definitely not my favorite. I'm concerned for her. She's not very nurturing as a mother, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I don't even have a favorite on this franchise. There's no one on this show where I just like, yeah, I rock with you. I would say at this point, it might be an unpopular opinion, but if I had to pick a favorite, it'd be Sarah. I know people kind of come for Sarah. They're like, oh, she's fake. She tries to be perfect and all this stuff. But I don't really see Sarah that way. I see Sarah more as a woman who has gone through a lot of stuff, and she's in her whole self-love, self-care journey. And sometimes that may come across as preachy or whatever, but I think that's just the way she takes care of herself, and that's the way she's giving. And I like Sarah. I think Sarah, to me, is my favorite. I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but I like her the best. Hey, Danielle G, his immaturity is concerning as well. I know. Sergio is so immature. He's so immature, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but just so uneducated that it's so off-putting. Like, you don't know how babies are made. You don't know where babies come from. You don't know how surrogacy works. Like, it's just really weird, and it's bizarre, and it's very off-putting, and just really, I don't know. I feel like Sergio bombed Stanberry when she was probably going through a tough time after her divorce, and just sort of like suck his claws into her, if that makes sense. Hey, Sunshine. I don't think she is really going to attempt to physically have the baby, yet have the surrogate instead. Yeah, because she probably physically can't. You know what I mean? Like, if you are, at this point, she might be like 46, 47, you know, after filming and everything. She probably physically can't carry the baby. And she was saying how she was so sick, you know, after she had her twins. And then the doctor told her, like, you can't do this. Like, having children is dangerous to your health. However, this is not a good stigma to project to the world. Exactly. Hey, Darren Hood, Sergio is such a creep, and I'm glad everything was discussed at the reunion about what he did. Exactly. I'm waiting for the reunion to come out. Like, I really hope Caroline Stanberry really is not associated with Jeffrey Epstein, that would be really disgusting. But given what's going on with these housewives, nothing surprises me. I know that they're saying Sergio was kind of being like racist and saying all this weird stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing, not looking forward in like a, oh my God, I'm excited for it, but like I'm looking forward to seeing like what he said and everything coming out and having that addressed. Maybe that's why the husbands weren't invited. I don't know. Hey, Danielle G, I feel like she gives off the I wear the pants vibe in public, so they think it's not a problem. Exactly. Exactly. Because again, think about it. If the genders were reversed, if it were the woman pressuring the man to have a child, what would we be saying? We'd be like, girl, like, they'd be like, oh, look at her trying to pressure him to have a kid. Why is she pressuring him to have a kid? Is she trying to secure the bag? Is she trying to trap him? All that stuff. So when a woman pressures a man to have a kid, she's trapping him. She's securing the bag. Well, Sergio is pressuring her to have a kid. So what are his motives? But yeah, I don't think she's happy. I don't think they have a good relationship. I think it's really unhealthy and very dysfunctional. One thing I will say for Lesa is hey, Danielle Lynn yells laughing, is I do think that Lisa's relationship with her husband is genuine. I think that they are genuinely in love. I think they have an authentic, fun, happy, healthy relationship. So with Lesa, and Lisa's freaking gorgeous. She's beautiful. She's really, really beautiful. She used to be my favorite, but I don't know why, but there's just a vibe about her now that I don't know. I have to figure it out. I think it's because of what I said at the beginning of the recap. I think that behind the scenes, Lesa and the girls, like Lesa, Ayan, Nina, maybe Sarah and Brooks, I think they all had a pact to go against Stanberry. And I had said this in a couple, one of my conspiracy theories, and then they played the clip about it at the reunion. You guys know my conspiracy theory is becoming true. That's why I love timestamps. That's why I love timestamps. Like, see, I told you this 2 weeks ago, and now they're throwing the clips. And to me, that makes more sense of why she has such a beef with Nina going over to Carolyn Stansberry's side. It's like we had this alliance before we started filming, and then now you jump ship. You see what I'm saying? And I think that makes more sense because to me, Lesa is a confident, self-assured woman. Like, to me, Lesa doesn't come across as insecure. She doesn't have low self-esteem. She knows who she is, and she's truly confident. Unlike Chanel Ayan, who I think fronts a lot of her confidence. But I think she'll get that real confidence if she continues her therapy and she continues her healing. Then I think she'll step into her true confidence and her true self-worth and her true self-love. So I'm excited to see Chanel Ayan's healing journey. Because I think she's a good person. I don't think she's malicious. I think she's a good person. And I'm excited to see that healing journey. Whereas I think that Lesa is already a healed woman. She's already self-assured. I don't think she actually gives two Fs about Nina and Stanberry's being friends. I think what she cares about is that Nina jumped ship on their alliance, because the alliance is what strategically matters. You see what I'm saying? Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat box. Sunshine says, agreed. Darren Hood says, Sergio is weird, and I'm glad Andy asked Stansberry about Sergio's tweets, but I wish he was on stage to discuss it about it from his own mouth. I heard that they did not invite the Dubai husbands to be on the reunion. That's what I heard. I wonder why. Hey, sunshine. Sergio needed his own gold bar, and that was a nice shade. I mean, we're all looking for our Prince Charming. Yeah. I mean, if you really think about it, Sergio probably got more screen time than Caroline did. Hey, April. She goes, wow, sounds like he definitely is trying to catch a bag. Exactly. Yes, men chase women with money and already stable for his security. 100%. And that's why, remember when Caroline was like, I don't want to sit next to your family, and she didn't even want to meet his family, is because his dad said, came out publicly and said, because the press knew about what the dad said, and this was before they started filming. there was a press article where Sergio's dad said, "You don't have to marry her. If you need money, we'll get you money." Basically being like, Sergio, you don't need to marry this woman. You know, like, you're in your 20s, she's in her 40s. You don't need to marry this woman. If you need money, we'll figure out a way to get you some money, son. That's why Carolyns Stanbury was so cold and didn't want to sit with his family at the wedding. And that was why it was so weird when she met them for the first time on the show, because he came out and said, you don't have to marry her for money. We'll find a way to get you some money. That's what Sergio's father said. Hey, sunshine, sunshine. Yes, Sergio idealizes her and wants that lifestyle 100%. It doesn't give me I love you, baby vibes. It gives me, if I could peel off your skin and wear it as my own, I would. Like, really creepy, very weird, very manipulative, very controlling, psycho vibes. And I'm being dead serious about it. Like, it's a scary, like, if one of my friends was in a relationship like that, I would have to figure out a way to talk to her about it where she wouldn't isolate me, because I feel like when you're in toxic relationships, if your friend tries to say anything to you, sometimes you then, you know what I mean? Like, the person will then, like, villainize the friend, if that makes sense. Hey, Danielle G, Sarah does seem a bit preachy, but I like her as well. Yeah. I get it. Yeah, sometimes I totally get how sometimes she can come across as a bit preachy and, like, above it all and all that stuff. But I think it comes from a good place. And I think that it comes from the fact that she is doing her own work, if that makes sense. Vaca says, hi. Hey, Vaca. Hey, Miss D. Sergio is old and odd, right? He's weird. Hey, Miss D. Hey, sunshine. I like Sarah as well. I don't feel she has ill intentions. Exactly. Yeah, I don't feel like she has ill intentions at all. Honestly, with this cast, I don't feel that any of them are malicious. I don't feel like any of them have, like, actual, like, ill intent, unlike the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's an evil, there's some evil women on that show, like, legitimately evil. I do think some of the women on Dubai are manipulative and trying to do storylines and faking stuff and creating drama and lying about this and lying about that. But I don't get any, like, malice from any of the women. I agree. Hey, Danielle. She goes, she dated Prince Andrew, who you know can't show his face now because of Jeff. Who dated Prince Andrew? Carolyns Stanbury? Is that why she's in The Notebook? Ooh. Yeah, Prince Andrew can't show his face. Mm-mm. And I mean, he should be in jail. But you know what I mean? Privilege will get you a slap on the wrist. Hey, powerful being. Hey, guys. Hey, caught on live during my nap time. LOL. Yeah, I love it. I'm not Sergio. I'm not certain Sergio is 100% heterosexual. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And again, when we talk about identity and sexuality, here, it's an open dialogue. It's an open space. We all know that we are all inclusive and loving and respectful. And we think that talking about it opens it up for the dialogue. Hey, Natalia. Sergio is young. Sergio is, he's like 20s. I think he's like in his late 20s or something like that. Hey, Vodka. Brooks can go. Not Brooks can go. I mean, to be fair, we kind of needed Brooks. I feel like she was the one mixing and stirring stuff up. But I need Brooks to be honest. I need some more transparency from Brooks. I need Brooks to get it together. You know what I'm saying? I need her to get it together. Hey, Powerful Bang, how old is Sergio? I feel like late 20s, like 27, 28, 29. I feel like he's in that range. Hey, Vaca, I want to see them come for Stanbury. They're going to come for Stanbury. They are. They really are. Hey, Miss T, Sergio is worse than Diana's child groom. You know what? He is worse. He is worse because honestly, when it comes to Diana and her child groom, I think Diana is the perpetrator and Asher is the victim. Sure, do I think is Asher there for the money? Duh, of course, 100%. He's there for the money, but I think that Diana preys on people who are weak and vulnerable, and you know what I mean, especially giving all of her sex trafficking allegations. And I think that when it comes to Sergio and Stanberry, I actually think Sergio is the perpetrator. I think he preyed on Stansberry when she was probably at a very low point in her life, you know, moving to Dubai when everybody she knows is in England, going through a divorce and all of that stuff, you know, being a woman of a particular age and all of that stuff. Not that being in your 40s is old, because it's really not by any means, but comparatively to his age. And she doesn't seem happy to me. And also, like, I don't know if you guys ever watched Ladies of London. I watched it and I loved it. So Stansberry was the star of Ladies of London that was also on Bravo. It's like watching two different people. Sure, she's the same, but on Ladies of London, she seemed happy. She doesn't seem happy on Dubai. She doesn't seem happy. I think that there's a lot going on behind the scenes with that relationship. I mean, even what we see is dysfunctional and unhealthy. So imagine what's really going on. A powerful being Stanberry knows that man doesn't love her and he is there for the money. Yeah, and I think that she is trying to save face, but I think that she probably regrets getting married to him. I think that's a big part of the depression, is that I think she probably regrets signing the paper. Because now that they're married, it's going to be, it's not impossible, and she shouldn't stay married if she's not happy, but it's going to be a lot harder to leave. One, she probably doesn't want to, even though as people, we shouldn't feel this way, but sometimes we feel embarrassed, like, oh, I chose wrong, or you feel ashamed. You know, there's a stigma of getting divorced again, like all of that stuff. Like, I know we shouldn't feel embarrassed or ashamed, but sometimes we do. So I think that now it's harder for her to get out of it, but I think that she's deeply unhappy and she knows that she made a mistake. Hey, Natalia, 27 or 28. Yeah, Sergio's like 27 or 28, like in that area. Natalia says, love Lesa. Yeah, I like Lesa too, but like, it was just that weird thing with Nina where I was just like, Lesa, just tell the truth. You just don't like Stanberry. Let's be honest. You don't like her for your own reason. And two, you don't like her because she didn't come to your fashion show, and you don't like her because of the suck the D comment. And you and Nina and everybody else, before it started filming, had a pact, had an allegiance to go after her. And then you got pissed when the only person who stayed with the pact was Ayan. Hey, Daniel G, because the dad knows his son's intentions, LOL. A parent knows their child. A parent knows their child 100%. And I think Sergio was just like, I want her money and I want her life. You know what I mean? He wants the whole thing. Hey, Miss T, Sergio loves her too much. Weirdo. It's bizarre. And the thing is, that's not love. That's what the trick is. That's what the dysfunction is actually being unhealthy and codependent and controlling and manipulative and calling it love. That's not love. Not honoring boundaries. When someone says, hey, I'm going to go take a week or a weekend or whatever with my girls. We're just going to hang out. I'll see you when I get back. And then infringing on those boundaries, that's not love. That's manipulation. That's coercion. That's controlling. That's abuse. That's gaslighting. That's all of that stuff. You know what I mean? It's not love. It's infatuation. It's obsession. It's exploitation for money and for fame. It's not love. Hey, powerful being. Lesa was my favorite. Now I really like something about Brooks a lot, 100%. You know what? That's actually a really good point. To be honest, I like Brooks, but she just comes too much with the shits. Like, Brooks, I like you. As a vibe, I like you, Brooks. The problem is you just have to start telling the truth because your timelines don't make sense. Your backstory doesn't make sense. The payouts with the exes doesn't make sense. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to call anybody an alcoholic. I'm not going to say anything like that, but just maybe trying to be a little bit more cognizant of the drinking, just given what we saw. I'm not labeling you, I'm not calling you that by any means, but just based on what we saw on the show, just maybe a little bit more cognizant of that, and maybe dial down the theatrics a bit, and you're good to go, Brooks. Because again, I don't think Brooks is mean. I don't think she has any ill intent. There's no malice there. It's just messy. It's just a lot of messiness that needs to be cleaned up. Danielle G says, yes, ma'am. Check the blogs. I'm gonna check the blogs because I need to see what Sergio has been tweeting and what Sergio has been saying. Because if he's been doing that, he needs to go too. And to be perfectly honest, if they do bring Stansberry back for season 2, I don't want Sergio on my screen. I don't want it. This isn't the Real Housewives of Dubai plus Sergio. I don't want Sergio on the screen. The producers need to have a conversation with Stanberry, not Sergio, but Stanberry, because Stanberry is the person that they're employing, and being like, we need to set some boundaries with your husband. It's too much. And you know what? Miss T, Caroline just married Sergio to keep him quiet. 100%. 100%. Because I think Sergio has a master plan. I think Sergio, almost like a Coach Shaw, has an end game. I think Sergio is going to ride Carolyns' coattails for as long as he can, get as much money as he can. If he can get the kid, he's going to get the kid for the bag. And then he's going to dip out when he is ready to live his truth. And then he's going to go off, live his truth on Caroline's dime. I think he has a plan. 100%. The same way Coach Shaw did. It was from Salt Lake City. He happened to stop practicing law the same year Jen Shaw goes into fraudulent activity. He gets to go off, be this like traveling basketball coach. He gets to, enjoy the fruits of Jen's fraudulent millions and millions of dollars. And now she's going to jail, and they're saying he may face charges, but I haven't seen it. He gets off scot-free, and he probably was smart enough to squirrel some money away. So now he's going to go live his truth with whoever he wants to be with the fraudulent funds he probably squirreled away somewhere, while Jen is going to prison. So, who really are the masterminds? You know what I mean? Who's really the masterminds? The wives are doing all the work and making all the money, and then the husbands are living their lives with whoever they want to live their lives with. How you doing, Coach Shaw? How you doing, Sergio? You know what I mean? With the wives' money. You have to really think about, in the end of all the shenanigans, who's really winning? Who really benefits, right? So, And another reason why, if they come back for season 2, the dynamic with Sergio has to change, is because it's just Sergio doing the most as the husband, versus a dynamic with the Real Housewives of New Jersey, where all of the husbands and the boyfriends and the ex-husband, like the Frank Catanians and the Joey Gorgas, and the Joes and all of that stuff, all of the men get together and hang out, and they have their own bromance and their own kiki, like Married to Medicine. All of the husbands get together and they go hiking and they go getting beer and going to the strip club and doing all that stuff. It's only entertaining when the men get together as a group and have their own activities and excursions and storylines. But when it's just Sergio, the only husband on the show, doing the most, it's so glaringly distracting. Do you see what I'm saying? None of the other husbands did the most at all. Lisa's husband, with his fine self, Lisa's husband is real fine. And I think Lesa has a really beautiful, beautiful relationship with her husband. I think Chanel Iman with her husband, I think they probably have a good relationship, but again, the fact that in her phone, her husband is called Daddy Cool kind of felt weird, given Chanel Iman's daddy issues that she's talked about, calling your husband Daddy Cool, like the way Heavenly calls Daddy. That's just always like weird to me. And also sort of Chanel Iman's, and I know it's cultural sometimes, but just the way she tells the story of how she got with her husband, it's very white savior. The way she tells the story, you know what I mean? So do I think they have a healthy relationship and that they're in love? Yes, I think they're in love. Do I think there's some codependency there? Yeah, but that's because I think Chanel just has a codependent personality that I think will um, shift and change as she gets the help, as she heals, as she grows. I think she'll come more into her own and she'll be less codependent. But I do think she has a good relationship with her husband, if that makes sense. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat box. Hey, Miss T, Brooke's reunion outfit was a mess. No lies, detective. No lies detected. Hey, powerful being. She goes, my heart kind of aches for Stanbury. I can tell she's miserable. Yeah, her parents are insufferable. I can't imagine being shipped off from the age of 5 to 18. Like, that's tough. She pretty much let it be known she suffered in boarding school. She seems so sad. Yeah, I agree. I think that Stansberry really is in a lot of pain, and she is sad, and she's just not happy. Hey, Daniel G. Yes, she was in too deep, and they had to show it in all the sponsorships for the wedding. Yep. 100%. She got the sponsorships. She couldn't go back. She had to do all that stuff. 100%. Hey, Prophet Bing, she really didn't want to get married, poor thing. I know. She said she didn't want to get married again. Said she didn't want to get married again. She doesn't want to have a baby. And so she's forcing herself to do all these things for Sergio. Like, I'm going to be petty for a second. Like, let me be petty for a second. If it was for a man who was a billionaire tech tycoon, you know what I mean? A billionaire executive, a billionaire creator, I don't know. Then yeah, well, maybe I'm going to make some concessions. You know, maybe if I don't want to get married, but this billionaire is like, I want to marry you, then maybe, you know, I'll make some concessions, right? If this billionaire is like, you know, I really want your child, maybe I'll make some concessions. I'm just messing around. You should never do anything you don't want to do just for money. Like, clearly I'm messing around. But my point is just like, for Sergio, like, what does Sergio have on you, Stanberry? Because it can't just be for saving face. If you are going through IVF, if you're marrying this man, if you're fronting on the show just to save face, girl, get out. It's not too late. You can get out. Because I don't know why you're doing the most for Sergio. I don't get. Powerful being, she really didn't want to get married, poor thing. Exactly. Yes, Brooks doesn't have a mean bone. She's a nice lady. Calling herself a savage is a defense mechanism. 100%. She's all bark and no bite. She's all bark and no bite. She's not mean at all. My heart went out to her when she was like wasty face in this episode, and she was being like, you know, you don't know what people are going through. You don't know what people are suffering from. Feeling like your life isn't valuable and all of that stuff. I felt really sad because I do think that was genuine. And I think that regardless of money or anything like that, mental health affects all of us. No matter what you look like, no matter what you don't look like, no matter what you have, no matter what you don't have, mental health is a very, very real thing. And people can suffer from all types of things: anxiety, depression, not feeling good enough, low self-esteem, codependency, all of that stuff. You know, you can really suffer from that stuff. And so my heart really went out to Brooks. Like, again, I don't think any of these women are mean or malicious. There's just some messiness and some inconsistencies that need to be cleaned up. So we've been on air for almost an hour, guys. If you're having a fun kiki, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share with a friend, because a kiki is always better with community. And check out everything linked below. We have tons of merchandise, podcasts, books, and all of that fun stuff. But before we do that, let's do a quick recap of all of the ladies since this was the finale. Lesa, we love you, but just be honest why you're pissed at Stansberry. Let Nina off the hook. The secret alliance just fell apart. It is what it is. You know what I mean? You don't need to be the mean girl of the group. Like, stop. You're beautiful. You have an amazing family. You know, you're successful. Your husband's successful. Your children are gorgeous. Focus more, Lesa, on just showing up and being yourself. Let this fake beef with Nina and Caroline go. It's just unnecessary. Have a more interesting storyline. Chanel Iman. Chanel, I love you, girl. Thank you for sharing your trauma with us. Thank you for sharing what happened with your childhood with us. I think continue sharing your healing journey with the therapy and the hypnotherapy and all of that. I don't think it's a one and done. I don't think that type of trauma, you go in one time and then you're healed. Healing is a process. It's not an event. So I would urge you to continue your healing journey. And if you see fit, let us in on that, because I think that could help a lot of people on their journeys. But girl, you do the most too much. You project a lot. You're over the top. You're gorgeous. You're beautiful. Keep bringing the fashions, but like bring more of you and less of a caricature. And also, Lesa and Ayan, you guys can't come at Caroline Stanberry too much for asking about stuff, because quiet on this cat word on the street is that you guys were calling Jen Shaw from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City asking, like, what do we need to do to be the most popular on the show? What do we need to do for the most screen time? How do we be over the top? So everybody on the show was calling people for advice. Everybody on the show was calling each other for dirt on each other. And you admitted that you were talking to Nina, getting the dirt on Caroline. You all are guilty of it. Did Caroline Stanberry call asking about you? Of course she did. But you guys did the same. And you admitted it. So don't be hypocritical, guys. You're coming back. Sarah, I love you, girl. I love Sarah. Is she preachy sometimes? Sure, but whatever. Who cares? I like Sarah. She's cool. Nina, to me, Nina, you need to show more of a storyline and more of your life. Like, I still don't know who Nina is. You're a little tofu. You're kind of there. You see what I'm saying? Nina, I need you to bring a little bit more personality. I need you to bring a little bit more conflict. I just need you to bring more. I need more of who Nina is. Nina is a mom and a wife and a housewife, but like, I couldn't tell you anything about you. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't bring more, Nina. Who else is there? Caroline Stanberry. I really hope this Jeffrey Epstein stuff isn't true. If it is, we're gonna have to go in on that. But I also think, Caroline Stanberry, you also could probably, get some therapy in your life. You seem really sad. You seem depressed. From what we see, you're in a very dysfunctional, toxic, unhealthy relationship, and it's really scary, and it's giving the wrong message to people. You don't have to marry someone. You don't have to do things to your body in order to keep a man, in order to keep a woman. You don't have to do things to your body that you don't want to do. That's the wrong message to send. Caroline Stanberry, I think you're really sad, and I want you to be happy, so I think you should get some therapy. And don't feel like you have to stay in an unhappy marriage in order to save face. Get out of that marriage, get out of the situation, get your happiness back, because this is the one life we have to live, and you just don't seem like you're happy. Brooks, baby girl, we love you, Brooks. You bring the mess, you stir it up, but get your story. This is the thing. If you're going to lie, and I don't mean to call you a liar in a mean way, but if you're going to lie, have the timeline, like, get us an Excel sheet or a chart and memorize the timelines for the fake stories, okay? You have to have it all. You have to have your math, because your math isn't mathing with the sleeping with a married man and having no shame about it, lying about getting a payout because your ex cheated on you, which logically makes no sense, saying that you will be homeless with your ex-husband, but you guys clearly have been co-parenting the whole time, and he's clearly been in the son's life the whole time, and he seemingly has a really great relationship with his father, and it seems like the dad has been providing for the son the entire time. Like, we're not stupid. You're not going to look me in my face and play in my face and think I'm going to buy the storyline, Brooks. I don't get it. I don't think you needed to exaggerate the situation. We still would have rocked with you if you were just transparent about it. Like, your personality is enough. I think, you know what? I think that is the key message for the Real Housewives of Dubai. Let your authentic personality be enough. Chanel, stop being over the top. Lesa, stop being boring. Nina, stop being forgettable. Sarah, stop being preachy. Stanberry, get some help and be happy. Brooks, stop lying. Like, that's pretty much what it boils down to. You see what I'm saying? Like, you see what I'm saying? Hey, Baka, the real footballers of Dubai, Sergio. No, I don't think that is very interesting. Sergio has to go. He has to go. Misty, all the husbands needs to hang together. Exactly. Hey, powerful being. Yes, Sergio is such a distraction. He's annoying AF too. Such a distraction. Super annoying. Really creepy. And then I'm going to go see what they're saying that he was like tweeting and all this stuff. You know, to be honest, I put nothing past anyone these days. What they're doing to Garcelle's son. What has been happening with child. Like right now, the Real Housewives franchise, like, it's literally a bunch of, the only thing that's missing, and I hate to even say this because I don't even want to speak this, but it popped in my head. The only thing that's missing is there's no murderers. But you literally have every other type of criminal who on the shows, to the very most disgusting Diana Jenkins, allegedly trafficking children for sex. You don't get lower than that. I can't. Hey, Danielle G, I love the dynamic of Married to Medicine with the husbands. Exactly. They highlight them as husbands when they get together to drink and gel. Exactly. They are not in the women's business. 100%. Hey, Vodka, I don't like Brooks at all. She gets crunk with everyone but kisses Stansbury. But, yeah. I mean, no lies detected there. And that's another reason why Lesa's so mad, because I think Lesa thought that she was going to be the HBIC in Real Housewives of Dubai. I think Carolyns Stanberry, even though it seems like she's depressed and unhappy, still held her own. And she was able to get Nina and Brooks and Sarah by default on her side. And then it almost just defaulted to just being Chanel and Chanel Ayana on the other side. Where I think going in, Lesa thought it would be everybody on her side versus Stanberry. That makes sense. Hey, Papa Bing, I think Taylor's ex-husband that asked himself was perfectly capable of the M word of murder. He was creepy. Yes! That's what I'm saying. It's because he was DVing her. You know what I mean? When a spouse physically hurts another spouse, he was doing that to her. Yeah. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But yeah. Wow. Well, we will be back to recap the reunion because a lot is going to come out on the reunion, you guys. We're going to talk about Sergio's tweets. We're going to talk about Carolyns Stanberry. Was she in cahoots with Jeffrey Epstein? We're going to talk about her calling Lesa an escort, which to me, like, you better have some receipts if you're coming at a chick like that. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. And I'm curious to see Andy. I'm curious to see. My prediction is that Andy is going to be all up Chanel Ayan's butt. I think he's going to be all up her butt. I think he's going to be softballing her. I think it's going to be one of those situations. Powerful Being says, yep. Daniel G says, wow, Russell. Yes, Russell, right? Like, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was more. There was another reality show. It wasn't on, I don't think it was on Bravo. I think it was like a TLC, it was like a VH1 reality show where it was like Megan Wants to Marry a Millionaire, and it was like one of the contestants who was on that show was like fronting that he had all this money when he really didn't, and then he went on to get cast in like another spin-off show, but he actually went on to M-word, or I already said it, to murder what his girlfriend at the time, and then he S-worded himself. and he was on the show. And the spin-off show that he got cast in, they ended up not airing it because and this shows you how shady producers are and how disgusting they can be, because the girl that he ended up taking her life, she was on the show with him in different times, and they were playing up how controlling he was, how psycho he was, how messed up the relationship was. You know what I mean? They were like feeding him into the stuff, and they were playing up how toxic their relationship was. So it's like, if you knew that this man was abusing and was being so toxic toward this woman, none of the producers stepped in. They were just egging it on because they wanted it for the show. And then he turned around and killed her. He chopped. I don't want to get this video demonetized, and I'm laughing because I'm nervous, but I'm just gonna be honest. He chopped her up, put her in a suitcase. This is a true story. I'm laughing because I'm nervous, but it's true. He chopped her up and he put her in a suitcase, and then he went on the run. And while on the run, he ended up escorting himself. And this was a guy who was on 2 reality shows. And all of the red flags were there, and the producers had egged him on. They knew how toxic he was. They knew how evil he was, and they were egging him on for content. And then once the deaths came out, they canceled the show and never aired it because they probably didn't want to get sued for what do you call it? I forget. Like, I don't know, aggravated, or I don't know, but I'm sure they could have been held liable. Maybe wrongful death. I don't know. Powerful Bang, I'm going to watch a movie tonight after my client mailing. Later, guys. Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate that. Woo woo. All right, you guys. We have been on here for over an hour. I love it. And I think we did the ladies of Dubai some justice. So I love you guys. On your way out, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, and share this with a friend, because a kiki is always better with community. And then later today, we'll be doing some hot topics, some new Real Housewives of Beverly Hills news. I'll finally get to Married to Medicine and maybe the Bell Collective, but you never know. That's why you got to hit that notification bell. You can also support my channel through Super Chat, super thanks below, and you can also, check out everything in the description box. We have merchandise, we have tons of stuff, so just go ahead and check it out. All right, you guys, I love you, and until next time, take care of yourself and each other, and watch your back out there. You know, there's a lot of craziness, there's a lot of goodness too, but just be careful out there, guys, all right? I love you. Bye.
Welcome to Sugar Pills, a practical guide to self-care, where your host, writer, actor, and producer Candy Washington helps you live a more joyful life with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. Be sure to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and join the conversation on Instagram @Candy Washington. Let's go.